Good morning, Marianas. I'm Troy Torres, and we got a treat this morning.
Hi, and I'm Johnny Rosario.
It is Tuesday. It is 6 a.m. on Tuesday, the 26th of July, 2022. Welcome to our studios here at Kandit News on the 7th floor of the DNA building in Hagåtña, Guam. When we come back, we'll bring you our top stories from Kandit.
As a defense attorney, I've represented many people who, if they weren't poor or they had received a higher education, may have taken a different path. As senator, I will propose a scholarship for those whose struggles are less academic and more financial. Let's keep our university full, not our prison. I'm Thomas Fisher. I not only approve this message, I wrote it.
Paid for by Tom for Guam, Drake Diaz, Treasurer.
When our political forefathers and foremothers laid the foundation for the Commonwealth, they dreamed of greater opportunities for our people.
In 1975, when nearly 80% of the people voted for Commonwealth, they too dreamed for a better life, for themselves and their children.
Nearly 50 years after the election of hope, we have forgotten how to dream like our ancestors did.
They dreamed of taking pride in being self-governing under the stars and stripes.
They dreamed of new opportunities to make a life in these beautiful islands. Today, abandoned buildings remind us of foreign investors who rushed in to make a quick buck, who then left us with empty buildings, monuments to forgotten promises.
We feel shame for a Commonwealth administration that's being investigated for corruption.
If we are to be the islands of hope and opportunity that our forefathers dreamed of, if we are to regain our pride in being self-governing under the stars and stripes, we need to be courageous enough to dream again. In the coming weeks, we will share with you our dreams for our beautiful islands. My running mate, Layla Fleming Staffler, and I will also share with you our plans to turn those dreams into reality. Layla and I invite you to make this journey with us.
We humbly ask for your vote. Let's make our collective dreams a reality in the Sablan Staffler administration.
By doing so, we will bring back pride in our Marianas.
This message is approved and paid for by the committee to elect Christina Sablan and Layla Staffler.
I remember Saipan, that's where my heart belongs.
Welcome back. Late last night, the U.S. District Court of Guam issued orders setting up the final months of what has been a years-long battle for victims of abuse at the hands of Catholic Church clergy and laity. Chief Judge Francis Tadinko Gatewood Monday night issued orders accepting a recently filed disclosure statement and forms and ballots for abuse victims with claims to consider. She also issued an order setting a series of deadlines that will culminate with an October 3 confirmation hearing before her. About 300 Guamanians filed suit against the Archdiocese of Agana for its part in the cover-up of sex crimes against the victims going back decades on Guam.
In the Commonwealth, the tourist administration is undergoing pressure from the governor's two gubernatorial rivals in the wake of the firing of Customs Director Jose Mofnes on July 21st. As the politics gets heated, Mr. Mofnes himself has taken legal action. Governor Ralph Torres' chief of staff allegedly threatened, in writing, to fire a longtime civil service employee if that employee did not support Torres' re-election bid. In a lawsuit filed in the Superior Court of the CNMI, Mr. Mofnes, who is fighting his removal as the customs director, alleges Mr. Castro sent text messages through Mr. Mofnes' niece, warning him to be loyal to Governor Torres, or else. Both Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios and Congresswoman Tina Sablan have issued statements condemning what they see as a growing problem of political retaliation by the Torres administration against government employees who do not support Torres for re-election.
Back home, a war of words has emerged about the use of federal pandemic funds for what Senator Jim Moylan proposes should be a $1,000 stimulus for all taxpayers and not just some. Governor Lulian Guerrero has clapped back in a multi-page stinging letter to Moylan explaining how her administration cannot implement Mr. Moylan's proposal as it would violate federal guidelines for the use of ARPA money.
Meanwhile, at the Guam legislature yesterday, Congressman Michael Saniclas himself went before senators to clarify that the governor's assertion that she cannot use ARPA funds for a proposal to credit GPA customers $500 for their power bills is wrong. Mr. Saniclas said the administration's interpretation of federal rules, including the income guidelines the governor pointed to in her letter to Mr. Moylan, is wrong, and that local funds should not be used for programs where federal funds can be used. Senators are expected to vote on the measure today.
Finally, it's the economy, Governor. In Kandit's top stories today, the island's tax burden, unchecked increases to the price of shipping, and other factors have led to inflation that small businesses just cannot afford. And to make matters worse, a shipping delay by one of the island's two shippers, Matson, has depleted store shelves. Kandit takes a look at the state of the economy and whether there's any truth to Governor Lulian Guerrero's repeated claim that life is getting better for the everyday Guamanian. These are the top stories from Kandit. As you can tell, it has been a rather fruitful news season this week. It started off pretty strong. Actually, a couple of these stories haven't even been written yet, but, you know, it's morning news. You deserve the news. This morning, is the funeral for one of our Kandit Land viewers. Sadly, Arlene Arla Sibitang passed away, and so her widow, Layla, asked us, because there apparently are a bunch of friends and family who live off island who are not able to attend the memorial services this morning. They asked us if we could cast at least a portion of the funeral. And so I'm going to go there later this morning and at least cast 1 hour of it. I'm going to need to borrow the gimbal, by the way. Chalo, thank you. I appreciate you.
I can go with you this morning.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And you look so nice in your black.
Oh, thanks.
And your earrings.
Thanks, guys.
My sister Tammy, she loves earrings like that.
Yeah.
Like just the big, loopy.
Yeah, so does Boo.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Yesterday or last night, while I was at a function that I'll report on, it's you're going to see a picture, Kandit Land, that's going to flip you out. While I was at this function last night, I'll report on it a little bit later. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Bongbong Marcos, held his first State of the Nation address. And so as long as there are no copyright issues in the YouTube feed from Malacanang Palace, we'll bring you that entire address. What happens in the Philippines is important to us, not just because they're a regional partner and one of the strongest allies of our country, but also because of the many Filipinos who call Guam home. So we'll bring you that. We also have a message from Guam's first elected Attorney General, a man seeking to be the Attorney General, about why current Attorney General Levan Camacho needs to go. We'll have that.
Why he sucks?
Well, essentially, Doug Moylan wrote a letter to the media based off of ex-prosecutor Rochelle Canto's resignation letter that essentially says Levan Camacho sucks and he needs to go, and he's bad for the crime fighting, for the criminal justice system on this island.
I agree.
Yeah, me too. I'm voting for Doug. And in our top story, I missed this last week, and it was in our email. I didn't see this, but it's a gigantic story. Public Auditor B.J. Cruz released a single audit where it shows $41 million in question costs in the expenditure of federal funds in 2021. Yeah, it's $41 million. It's so back in 2019, I believe, in the Calvo administration, you didn't find question costs in the audits. But in 2019, you saw question costs, I think, of about $1 million. It grew to $41 million in 2020. Yeah, it's. So we'll bring you that top story today.
Oh, get your news at www.candidnews.com.
On July 28th, which is on Thursday, we're very excited. We have the Guam Medical Association is going to be hosting the next debate, and it's a debate between the Democratic candidates for governor and lieutenant governor. We actually got the GMA healthcare, the debate rules, where it shows there's going to be a 30-minute segment for governor candidates, then a 30-minute segment for lieutenant governor candidates, then a 30-minute segment for both the governor and lieutenant governor candidates. I don't know who the moderator is going to be. It doesn't say who it is. Oh, well, Eric's got the bell, just in case.
Just in case they need help.
He's very excited. And Eric's very excited about the GMA debate because he and Zach are going to be producing Kandit's live feed straight from the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa. So catch the debate live on Kandit that night. And as an extra treat, we will, I believe, have via Zoom Dr. Tom Shea as a guest in studio, or a guest in, what do you call the...
At the bar?
No, but what do you call it when we do a...
Commentary.
A live stream from somewhere else that's not our studio?
A remote.
From our live remote over the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa. And the commentators on the Kandit feed will be Dr. Ron McNinch, Ray Gibson, and yours truly. Ray wanted to have the whole commentating thing at the bar, but I don't think that all of our lines and our cables can reach there.
Do they serve food here?
I think they said they're not going to.
Oh.
Because one of the things that they're trying to ignore trying to avoid is having people socialize as there's another COVID surge. I think that's what the GMA is a little concerned about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, I'm a little like... I don't want COVID. I'm not trying to get COVID from it. I'm not trying to get sick in any kind of way from anyone. So I'm not trying to be around lots of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. And speaking, so we talked a little bit earlier about the State of the Nation address by Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos, and our love for our audience from the Philippines.
And because we love our audience so much, our Filipino audience, we're having a Filipino show starting in August.
We are so excited. Sally Aquino is joining Team Kandit, and she will be hosting a Saturday morning Filipino talk show. It hasn't been named yet. We've been calling it Saturdays with Sally Aquino, but that's probably not what the name is going to be. We'll figure it out. You like our background? That's the cathedral live behind us.
It's live. There's even cars passing by.
Yeah, and people are jogging and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not live. It's
great.
It's on a feed. It's on a loop that Eric recorded. Beautiful work, right? Now please join us in turning our attention to 93.3 FM The Point. The Ray Gibson Show, also live on YouTube and on Facebook at The Point Guam. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres.
And I'm Johnny Rosario.
Have a wonderful and blessed morning.
Bottom line is we're gonna make you a better person. You're gonna be healthier and fitter than you were before.
The Jones Act is a 1920 law justified on national security grounds as a means to bolster the U.S. maritime industry. It restricts domestic shipping to vessels that are U.S. built, U.S. owned, U.S. flagged, and U.S. crewed. However, this law boosts cost by banning foreigners from competing and forcing Americans to purchase ships that are up to 8 times more expensive than those built in other countries. The result is higher transportation costs. Shipping oil from Texas to the Northeast, for example, costs 3 times more than importing oil from Africa. Ultimately, consumers foot the bill. In addition, higher shipping costs push freight from ships onto other sources of transportation, such as trucks, which means more traffic and pollution. Meanwhile, this blatant protectionism has failed to benefit builders of ships in the U.S., whose production is less than 1% of those in China and South Korea. Domestic builders have seen over 300 shipyards close since the early 1980s. Jones Act defenders claim the law ensures adequate U.S. ships during times of war, but during U.S. deployments during Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm, foreign flagged commercial ships carried twice as much equipment as their U.S. counterparts. In fact, the U.S. was so desperate for shipping that it twice requested the use of a cargo ship from Moscow. Both requests were denied. So the Jones Act has failed to achieve its shipbuilding and national security goals while driving up costs for consumers. It's time for this outdated, costly, and ineffective law to be repealed. It's time to end the Jones Act.